Well, I don't think anybody calls me the ceremonial witch but myself, but I am the ceremonial witch. What the fuck is going on, everybody? Not much. Yourself? Oh, no, I'm doing good. That's just a little self-talk conversation. So anyways, I had to turn it off last time before I got to keep going on my thought. And I'm going to continue that thought after I talk about whatever I start talking about here. But the first thing I want to mention was... well, because I was getting, like I said in that video, fuck, I'm already tongue-tied. I said in that video that I was going to look back and listen to it and fucking realize that there's a bunch of open-ended conversations that I never got to finish my points, which I really got to work on narrowing that down, you know, possibly writing down the points I want to hit and make sure I hit them before the end of the video or something to that effect. But anyways, I like kind of how it just goes wherever it goes, and it is what it is. But I wanted to make that about habits more than anything, and cause and effect. Now I think I got the cause and effect thing down, and I liked how I hit on the, you know, if you're going through a struggle like being bullied either at school or at work or whatever, you know, think of that as an initiation and as your cause and effect, right? That's the cause that's going to make you stronger and make you be able to prevail older. Don't think of it as the cause that's going to make you weak or make you a victim. Don't go to that mindset. Don't be that mindset, you know. And one of the main or overarching themes I wanted to hit, though, this is the one thing that really just bugs me. I'm glad it just came to me. Thank you, Mercury, buddy. You're getting something there soon. I haven't been able to do any offerings yet to you, but it's coming, okay? It's coming. Be patient. But yeah, I was trying to think of like what the fuck, that there's one thing overall that I really wanted to talk about and I keep forgetting it. And besides the habits and besides the birth chart, descendant, what your descendant, and that time of year when that comes around, how it can affect you. That's another thing I really wanted to talk about. But it was the fuck, I almost lost it again. What did Mercury just tell me? He told me that it's about the belief systems, okay? People like to say you need to get rid of your programming, you need to get rid of your belief systems and all that, and they're not wrong, because if you have belief systems and programming that you don't like, or habits or addictions that you don't like, then yeah, you need to get rid of them. However, understanding that your belief systems, your programming, your habits, your addictions, those four things, okay? It's like your ascendant, your descendant, your IC, and your, what the fuck's the top one? DC. No. AC, MC. All right. So that's like the four things that make you up, okay? Well, those are the four things that make you up in your birth chart. Those are your 4 points that you're grounded in, you know, your quarter years, basically, so to speak. And they're not equally put out, at least not in the birth charts that I look at. The, you know, the Vedic, or not Vedic, but the side lateral, the ones that don't have equal houses, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I use the ones that don't have the equal houses, and it's because of those things being placed in different places. And that is profound, and that is important, I think. Because if you look at your birth chart, well, I shouldn't maybe get into this right away, but anyway, if you look at your birth chart, all right, you're going to see your ascendant, all right? You're going to see your ascendant line, and that's the day and the time you were born. So for me, it's in Taurus, and I'm going to bring it up here, but I'm going to say it's relatively centered in Taurus, okay? I want to say it's somewhere around the, on the further side, which is kind of strange, to be honest, but anyways, I'll get back to that. But yeah, because I want to throw something out here, ideas out here that I think can help people, and I'll give you the proof about it too in just a moment. But anyways, so every one of these signs, right? And Aries, basically, Aries is going to be all the degrees that make up Aries. 30 some, it's going to be 30 degrees, right? And there's roughly 30 days in a month, 31, and that's where things get a little different in some cases when it comes to, you know, because if my birthday is May 11th, right, and the sign Taurus is from roughly, I don't know, but it's like April 20-something to May 20-something, right? So for mine to be in the middle, that's kind of strange because, well, 10 days into May, and then 10 days at the end of April, right? Let's just, if I just say April 20th, just as there's 30 days in April. So 10 days takes us to the end of April, and the next 5 days into May, that would put you on the center line. So I'm kind of close. I'm 6 days off of that, but I'd be further down, and I'm pretty sure that's where I am on my chart. So, but that's how, if you want to look at a chart this way, and I'm not saying this is the only way to look at the chart. I'm not saying this is the best way to look at the chart. I'm saying you should be looking at your chart in different ways and asking questions and getting answers. Knowing what you want is a hard question probably for somebody, especially if you're going through an initiation. It's not something that's going to be revealed to you right away. You're going to be led down a bunch of different paths. You'll be led down a bunch of different paths until you get enough knowledge, information, until you're ready for your actual path. Anyways, that's how I think it works and how it's been working for me and many others that I speak to and talk to. So basically what I mean by that, if that it wasn't obvious, is that right now, let's say, the thing I want to do would be somewhere between being a psychologist, a psychiatrist, running my own specialized daycare, dealing with ADHD, autistic, and ADD kids, okay? Let's say that's my overarching goal, but I don't know that yet, right? But I do know I like helping people. I do know I like talking. I do know I like going on my experience to teach. I do know I like little kids. I do know I want to run my own business, right? So there's many things that have to take place first, right? So first thing first, I had to get rid of my job at Matrix, all right? And, I also had to find magic because, going through addictions, having addictive, well, quote unquote, addictive personality, shit like that. There's no way you can beat an addiction unless you, at least at the very minimum, know you have to replace one habit with another habit to get rid of your addiction. Stop calling it addiction, start calling it a habit, a bad habit, maybe, and then start trying to replace it, but even better if you can start magic, do the book of Frederick Xavier recommends, Kabbalah, Great Work Self-Transformation, because in there, the first exercise of banish, reject, deny is going to come in huge. Now, you're not going to have the discipline to do it at first whenever you're still using, but with practice, you can get better at it. And then, as you go through the curriculum, as you're still doing drugs and all that, there's going to come a point where there's going to be days where you're not so strong, there's going to be days you're stronger. And the days you're stronger, you're going to be able to reject, banish, deny. You're going to be able to ask for things, call things to you to help you banish, reject, deny. You're going to be able to start make your own hypnosis scripts. You're going to be able to do your own affirmations, different things like that to all help you get rid of your bad habit, your addictions, and all that shit, okay? But anyways, so it's super crucial for anybody who is trying to beat an addiction to at least know the very minimum, go see a specialist. And, if they go see a psychiatrist is not going to break out any magic talk, but they have their own way of saying this. And so I'm not saying that you need magic to beat an addiction necessarily, but you need the knowledge that comes along with. So unless you're like studying Jordan Peterson or studying to be, someone who understands the psychology, the what goes on in the human brain, how the human brain operates, how we develop programs, how we develop habits, how we can break habits, all the stats and all this thing. Unless you're doing that, okay, I just say taking up magic because, it's got the most benefits, right? You can take that course and learn all that, but if you don't have practical uses for how to do it to yourself, if you're learning how to treat people, that's fine, but how can you treat yourself necessarily? You can ask yourself the questions and all that, and that's what I do. That's why I watch Jordan Peterson, to learn all this stuff. It's not only for later on when I'm dealing with the children or with people or whatever my, what Hollywood calls destiny, whatever I can be, that I'm going to end up being, this is going to be a very valuable thing that can help me right now with current situations. It's going to help me later on. It's going to help me transform. It's going to help me benefit all these different ways. So I don't know what I want because I'm going through the transformation. And the transformation process, especially in the first few years, is hard because you realize everything's a lie and you got to start breaking down your belief systems that no longer serve you. But at the same time, you know a lot of things are not true, but there are some things that are true. And then the people that tell you that things aren't true and they give you good evidence, well, if they are also corrupt, then what happens is you end up building a new belief system with the person who helped you dismantle your old belief system. So then in a few years' time, you're going to have to get rid of those. So it's always a reoccurring process because, it's not a perfect system. Nothing is. But it's the only system we got. And, it can work well if you just are willing to re-examine yourself and not just sit on an ideal, sit on a belief or, something that you just believe is the ultimate truth. If you're willing to just sit on that and not do anything else and not move, well then yeah, you're going to fuck yourself. But if you're willing to re-examine yourself every so often, if you're willing to look at new information and not just the information you resign with, if you're willing to do the depolarization and training and all that, then you're going to be way better off. But I'm going to keep going with what I was going with, okay? So when you get into this, you get into magic, especially if you have an addiction or whatever, because there's a lot of evidence out there saying people that have addiction problems is because they have a hard time in the world, whether it's working, they can't find a job, they don't get along with people because they feel so awkward, because they don't feel right in their skin, because they know something's not right, and it's not necessarily something wrong with the world, it's just they don't have their spirituality, something bad may have happened, and maybe they had faith, maybe they never had faith, but there's a big gap there. That's why I played Russell Brand a long time ago, because he talks about this a lot. There's something there between people that are addicted to substances and missing that spiritual link, because if you add some kind of meditative spiritual process, which is like adding a habit, replacing one habit with a new habit, then the success rate of getting over drugs is higher. That alone. And you can meditate without having to do all the weird stuff. The only problem is when you do that, all you understand is you're doing something that's healthy for you, and you're going to keep doing it because it is healthy for you, but you got a process, but you don't know the extent of it. And hopefully you'll get that knowledge later on. But, so, what I'm trying to get at here, I went back and forth through a couple different things here. I was supposed to be talking about the birth chart and how it breaks up into all these different months and shit like that. And then I got into belief systems again, but it's fine. I'll just keep going with the belief systems and I'll get back to the chart after. But your belief systems you have inside you have to keep re-examining them and see if they're accurate. You don't have to continue. If one is not affecting anything, then whatever, you can leave it be. But you should be continuously trying to figure out what you have inside you and what you don't have inside you. Especially when you start doing the meditations, doing the ritual magic and all this shit, because you are creating that cross communication. So your subconscious can talk to you and you can receive the answers better. It's going to be clear. You do have a line of communication now. Whereas before, you're an observer for your dreams maybe, but your conscious mind can block those upon awakening. So it wasn't always as accurate as it could be. So anyways, once you develop that line of communication and you're doing the banishings and you're doing the groundings and you're banishing, I'm not only talking about the banishing the thoughts, but I'm also talking about the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram. You're doing your neophyte grade basically and all that. All right. Well, I on top of writing down the things that you want and doing your magics and all that and studying and learning more about the histories and all that, every so often, every few months maybe, you should maybe re-examine some beliefs that you believe you have. Because everybody has them. Everybody has polarity to a certain extent. Even if somebody who is very not polarized are going to have some kind of polarity. Yoda, if you watch Star Wars, you could say, well, he's not very polarized, right? This is the path to the dark side. He can sense darkness, but he really doesn't do much about it. He'll fight somebody, but he'll stay pretty calm. But whenever Anakin killed all the young Padawans, he was crying, right? And whenever he saw Anakin crying a long time ago when he was fear of losing Padme, maybe in the second Star Wars, he's like, ooh, this is the path to the dark side. Don't be afraid to lose people because you're going to lose them anyways. There's nothing you can do about it. If they're going to be taken from you, they're going to be taken from you, and it serves a purpose. But you don't need to know that purpose. Blah 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 blah. He keeps going. But whenever all those little guys died, which would be absolutely heartbreaking to anybody, he shows some of his polarity. That pissed him off. You know, he was sad also for them. You know, he wasn't all like, well, this is part of the plan. Don't matter, part of the plan. No, he was upset with himself for not seeing it. He was upset that, you know, that he even went there and did that. He was upset with the Dark Lord fucking, the Chancellor, that he allowed to go to that position and allowed him to cloud his vision. You know what I mean? So everybody has polarity. So especially if doing this stuff with the means we have. YouTube is such a beautiful thing. The internet is such a beautiful thing. But you need to understand that in some ways it's no different from TV. Now you're choosing what you watch, but you're not choosing how the person presents it to you. And you're also not choosing the different techniques they can use. You know, studying NLP and NLP and analog marketing, especially if you do a lot of reading, is going to come in handy there, so that, you know, you can open a book and then within the first few pages, like the introduction and maybe the first chapter, you can see if this person is putting off a vibe of, you know, thinking he's either better than you, first of all, or trying to, you know, tell you what you want to hear and using specific ways of marking the text or marking the... So anyways, when it comes to belief systems, all right, your subconscious mind will take any belief system that you throw at it. And not only will it, you know, because it takes a little effort for us to insert belief systems into our subconscious mind. And the reason is because we're just simply not taught. It's not some big, you know, hard fucking way of putting it in there, okay? It's not that complicated whenever you understand the basics of it. And I'm not saying I have all the understanding. I just know what I learned. And then from doing it over and over again and taking things out or tweaking things, I have what works for me every time now. So I'm going to tell you what that is, but that may not be necessarily what works for you all the time. I think it's similar. I think if you have the basics down, then from there you can figure out what works for you. Because, you know, once you're doing something for a while, especially right off the hop, there's something you don't think makes sense. It's going to stand out to you right off the bat. So, but anyways, so by, you know, magic is the art of using will to conforming your will to change your life or something to that effect. I always put the conforming somewhere wrong. But anyways, so basically what you're doing is, you know, you realize that your subconscious mind controls your reality, okay? And if that's not what you realize, okay, well then you're trying to communicate with spirit and all that. Okay, well, why are you trying to communicate with spirit? Well, because spirit is, you know, God and all that. You're trying to get something from God. Okay, so what is God then? Well, God is the guy that made us and all that. Okay, but technically what I just said has nothing to do with God. You don't have to actually call on God. You don't have to actually pray to God to get something. But if you do something, if you, how am I going to put this? So this is where your belief system comes in handy. If you have a belief system, okay, that there's an almighty powerful God, and if you pray, and I guess if it's within reason, okay, because not everybody gets their prayers answered, and then, you know, if everybody prayed for this person to not die, and then they died, well, at the funeral, you know, a few people are going to be saying, well, it's just all part of the plan. We don't know the plan, but there's a plan out there, and maybe this is for the best, and all that kind of stuff. But then there's other times where people beat the odds, and, you know, you can tell me different circumstances, different people, all that, and for sure, you're not wrong. There's a vast variety of people, but there have been some similar circumstances, similar people, similar towns. You know, there are things in our history, not very far history either. They are documented cases of people getting certain types of cancer in certain types of towns, you know, more than other towns. And in these towns, there's the majority of people either pass away with it or they get a form that is livable, but there have been very small amount that are able to get rid of it altogether. And they've shared what they've done with people. And when people have done it, it did not work for them. So to you know, clarify what I'm trying to get at, I guess, there is, well, how come these people are successful and these people aren't? You know, they all prayed. Every one of them prayed. Every one of them tried or said they, you know, everybody tried a different diet. However, there was only a few of them that were very disciplined in sticking to it. And, you know, the other ones, but the things they said were astounding. And it correlates with, and I've said this many times, but the majority of people in the United States that have to pay for their health care when they would get a terminal diagnosis, you know, even if they hadn't read any of the books or did any of the research, they were just some working man or woman who's been working for so many years, and they just decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm not going to be a burden to my family, I'm not going to spend the rest of my days in the hospital, potentially just lose, I'm going to try to get my insurance money, or at least a part of it, early, go enjoy the rest of my time, and then go out like that. And I've said this before, and it's been increasingly more popular, but people have been not only, you know, enjoying their life and doing that, they've had the issue of having to pay back the insurance company because they've went into remission, or they've downgraded their cancer to something that's semi-treatable or absolutely treatable by a doctor. Some people have gotten rid of it completely, have never had it returned again. You know what I mean? It's crazy, you know. Some of these people are doctors. There's two that come to mind. I won't say their names, but do the research and you'll find it. It's out there. And I mean, the reason why it's out there is because these doctors try to make books and tell people what to do, how it works and all that. And their books were banned from Canada, anyways. The States, places like that, you know, you'd have to ship it in from Brazil, but if they found it, they wouldn't let you have it, shit like that. Maybe not Brazil, but somewhere, either South America or a different continent. But anyways, point is, everybody who, you know, everybody was praying, right? Let's say everybody was praying and only some people got successful, right? I told you yesterday that I prayed for my wife and I was successful. But, and you know, like I said, I had a big belief system when I was a kid, a huge belief system that God was real. God was a man up in the sky who has a plan for us all. And as long as you were good and, you know, ask for forgiveness when you were supposed to, follow the commandments as good as you can, and then, like, if not, you know, you ask for the forgiveness and all that, then he would reward you with, you know, essentially a good life, and or you could bargain with him when bad shit happens or whatever, you know, to a certain extent. You know, you can just ask for stuff out of your means, but if somebody was sick and you didn't want them to pass away, you could bargain for that kind of thing. So is that why that worked? Well, maybe. I don't know. At that time, I wasn't very religious, but there's a good chance that maybe that's what it's all about. That could be what it is. I don't think so, but it could be what it is. But anyways, so what I'm trying to get at is, and I've said this many times before, that when people had cancer in the States and they couldn't afford to pay for their cancer, right, they would just go on vacation, and then, you know, by not thinking about it, it either got reduced. Some people even just avoided it altogether, and then when their loved one finally forced them to go into the hospital, you know, found out it was in remission or was gone and shit like that. Like miracles. Absolute bloody fucking miracles. So what I'm trying to tell you is that your mind is powerful. It's a powerful tool. It can be a powerful weapon. It could be a powerful bomb that, you know, implodes or explodes you. But a lot of this has to do with, a lot of it can work with the belief systems, but there are things that, you know, and I don't know some of these people, I know their faith, and some of them I don't know their faith. You know what I mean? So there's a few cases you can make here for the claims of the people that, you know, okay, well, they prayed to God, and then they went on a trip and they stopped thinking about it, and then, you know, technically it was like magic and it worked. Sure, that works. But there are some of them that didn't believe in God as well. And the ones that didn't believe in God, well, how did that work for them? So what I'm trying to get at, I guess, here is, you know, the whole thing that everybody's doing magic even though they don't believe in magic, or, you know, they don't believe in magic, or they don't know they're doing their magic, right? It comes down to that thing there again. And the reason why that's important is because when these people stop thinking, stop watching TV, stop wasting time, stop listening to stats, stop going in and cursing themselves, right? Because I can't say this 100%, but I'm going to assume that, you know, before someone gets cancer, they're more likely to say stuff like, well, everybody's going to die one day, and who knows, got to live now, you know, someone if they're smoking a cigarette. And I know I'm guilty of this, not anymore, but I'm guilty of this, saying stuff like, wow, fuck, you're going to die of something, might as well be fucking, you know, cancer or something like that, stupid things like that. And I'm willing to believe that somebody who goes away on their insurance money because they've been given a terminal illness, they're not going to say shit like that anymore. You know what I mean? No one's going to say that shit. No one's going to have that self-talk. Anytime the thought comes into their mind, especially if they're on vacation with a loved one, they don't want to worry and make themselves, you know what I mean? Because if, let's say it's the strong man archetype kind of dude who his wife was pretty broken up about it and wanted him to fight, and he's decided not to. Well, if she sees him crying on their vacation, it's going to ruin the whole time and shit like that. And, then she might try to convince him and bring it up again that he doesn't want to hear it. And, worst of all, he's got to think about himself dying. So there's a really good chance that when someone gets a terminal illness diagnosis, they are not going to not only say cursing things like that, and there's a reason, they're called curse words and shit like that. They're not going to curse themselves anymore by saying things like, everybody's got to die one day, and stupid. Some people will even say, I know I'm going to hell, or I know I'm going to die of cancer. Everybody, I'm 1 in 3. You know what I mean? People literally say shit like that because they think it's something no one else says. But little do they know, if they say it too many times, that's when that affirmation can become a habit. And especially if you put emotion to that one of these days, or you picture somebody doing that. But anyway, so anybody who was an atheist who didn't pray to God, who got the same results as somebody who was a Catholic who prayed to God and tried to forget about it, if they got the same outcome, well, that would be one of the things I would look into and tell you that, yeah, I mean, I've told my wife this many times. From the first year I was doing it, started in this path. The second year, right up till now, okay, this is the one thing that's been standing the test of time when it comes to this line of research, and that is that our mind is the powerful thing, is this big secret, this power that we have that is through our subconscious mind. However, whatever you want to call that, whether you want to call it through spirits, whatever you want to call it magic, whether you want to call it religion, doesn't matter. But there's a power there. And the power is of, and there's a few ways you can look at it, you know what I mean? It's simply as just, if you don't say dumb shit, then the dumb shit's not going to happen to you. If you don't act out the dumb shit's not going to happen to you. But there's also that if you can use your mind and program it, okay? You can be not programmed. You could be depolarized, which is the least amount of programming, and it's only the programming that you put in there. Or if you have a program that was inserted in you and you don't know it, you're just going to play out that program, and whatever happens, happens. And the problem with that is if you're that programmable and you don't know it, then everything and anything is going to keep slipping in there as you do your daily shit. So it becomes more dangerous. But anyway, so back to what I was saying. The atheist and the Christian, they both beat cancer, both by the variable is no longer God. Okay, because the atheist didn't pray to God, and the Christian did. But what they both did was they didn't think about their disease, or they tried to at least not think about it as much as possible. And to me, that's a form of banish, reject, deny. As soon as that thought comes in their head about their mortality, about them leaving their loved ones, they don't entertain it, they don't act on it, they don't accept it. They deny it, they reject it, and they just start living, they just go back to living in the now. You know what I mean? And people will say, well, that's suppressing something. Sure. But if you're going to suppress anything, it should be thoughts about your own death, especially when all you have is a terminal fucking diagnosis from a doctor. Unless the doctor says, yeah, no, at the rate everything is going, I'm 100% certain, and I can show you that, there's no way that this is not going to happen, If it's 6 to 8 months and we can't narrow it down more than that because we don't know, because I know there's someone close to me who has been given that same 6 to 8 months diagnosis, and it's been like 3 years now, so you tell me. But anyways, point is, it's the same thing. It's the same concept as anxiety, right? What anxiety is silly, it's crazy because you're worrying about something that hasn't happened yet. Anything can happen. You could become a millionaire. You can get hit by a bus. You can come to money, or they get. It doesn't matter what. By worrying about it and anxiety, being anxious, and thinking about all the ways that it's going to go wrong, you're going to create those circumstances to happen. Okay. And that's what you do not want to do, especially when it comes to an illness. All right, so I had to just go somewhere and bring my wife something. And I recorded something in the car, but I didn't fucking record for whatever reason, or only for like a minute. Oh, well, it is what it is. I'll have to redo it. So, basically, I'm trying to distinguish between God, your subconscious mind, spirit. Basically, I'm not trying to tear anything down or make anything not legit or legit, and I guess I'm just trying to make my point. The 2 points I guess I'm trying to make are the points of you don't need to do anybody specific magic for your magic to be successful. You just need to know the Kabbalion and how your subconscious mind kind of works and the rules around that. Aside from that, you can also, your belief systems there that everybody's telling you to get rid of, you can actually use those to your benefit when doing magic, and use other people's to their benefit while doing magic, and is what I'm going to get into and explain. But because let's say I've met a few people that are channelers, and not in the way that like I get ideas, I hear things, I can, and this is developed for me. But in the beginning, it was literally just like I felt like it was just my own thoughts, but the more and more I develop it now, it's something I can, especially in meditation, you can stop and you can distinguish. You can't use the English language to really say this. And I used to hate when people said that. I'm like, well, come on, there's words you can describe things and you can say meaning, but I kind of know what they mean now, and that's not a cop-out. But what word would you use to say that? Because it's not a voice in your head, because it's not a voice. And the closest thing you could say would be like a picture or image coming to you, but it's not even that, and it's not really even words sometimes, but you can still see or feel them or know what it's saying. So how do you describe that whenever you know that it's not coming from you, especially when you ask something specifically a question? I had a really early on episode, which is kind of what I'm touching on now, and it was talking about the goddess. Tapping the goddess was how I named it, and I wrote tapping as in the play on the word, when you say, oh, I tapped that ass, basically. And I was talking about how, witchcraft, a lot of witchcraft and stuff like that. Diana, was using the moon and stuff like that. But, when you pick a deity to work with, okay, this is how I perceived it, and this is how I used it, and this was beneficial for me. But when you pick a deity to work with, okay, you're taking that deity and everything everybody's ever assigned to that deity, okay? All the good, bad, whatever, basically. But most importantly, what you know, but even the stuff you don't know about. But you're taking that deity and you're basically, in a sense, because your subconscious mind is the place you're trying to put stuff into, right? So that deity becomes a representation or a way or a language or a connection or a means of communication between you and your subconscious mind. So you pick that deity, and you're saying, and I'm not saying that deity is not real, but what I'm saying is that deity is now who you're communicating with, okay? You're basically, and in a way, telling that deity, or you're using her as a means to get through to your subconscious mind. So you say, hey, I'll give you this, but can you give me your knowledge? Can I be a student of you? Like Hecate, for example. You're going to go give stuff at the crossroads. Well, that's going to please Hecate. But she is going to be a part of you, because technically we're all one. That's why working with your ancestors can also work. They're more powerful now that they're not in the material anymore, and they're not, like if you have an alive grandma and a dead grandma, okay, well, if you were to do something for your alive grandma, she's not going to know or be able to respond or do anything to you. However, now that your other grandmother has passed on, okay, well, whenever you ask her for an answer, there's going to be something that comes through that answers you. And giving her an offering or whatever, because she's no longer here in the present. Her essence is always around you, with you. Everybody in the world who's ever lived is basically all within each other. We can all tap into those, but it's all done through their subconscious mind when they're alive, and when they're dead, it's by, how do you explain that? that I'm going to leave alone because I don't even know if I understand that enough to explain that, to be honest. I know how to do it, but I don't know how to explain it. But the point of tapping the goddess video was basically I talked about the law of gender as well, because every manifestation, when you want to do something, right, you go to your ritual, spot, you get into a trance so you can talk to the deity, because you can't talk to deity, right? You could worship deity and have deity things, but when you're doing your actual ritual work, you have to get into trance so that your conscious mind is mostly out of the way, and that's how you talk to your subconscious mind, and which is how you would connect to deity. So whether you want to say it through your subconscious mind, you can talk to Hecate, or Hecate comes through your subconscious mind to talk to you, or your subconscious mind is connected to all who've passed or is present. It doesn't matter. They're all right, okay? We can debate about those little details, but it doesn't matter. To me, anyways, it doesn't matter, because it's not something that's going to stop my magic. Now, if this is something that's going to stop your magic, then it matters. If it can stop your magic, then it matters. If you can't comprehend how... does that mean Hecate is in my subconscious mind, or does that mean Hecate is just using my subconscious mind as the channel to get through to me? And all these spirits are always using my subconscious mind to talk to me, and that's how they come through to me. Which one is it? And the answer is yes. It's all, it's none. It's how can you answer a question like that when there's not really any proof? You can get someone's opinion. Like, it's one of the things I said in the car that didn't record. If there was a channeler, okay, and they see spirits around people and they get answers from them and whatever, and they say, okay, well, I don't do the way you do it. These spirits here around me there that I see, I ask them to do something for me and they go and do it. And that's how I make my manifestation happen, okay? And because, if you make the argument, because if there's an atheist who doesn't believe in God, and let's say they don't believe in spirits and all that, okay? And then there's someone who channels, like I just said, who tells this atheist stuff about his life, and it's kind of like, that's bullshit, blah, 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 blah. But let's say, that atheist does do magic, and he just says, well, all I do is I use my subconscious mind, I put a program in there, I put a belief system in there that's beneficial to what I want, and then I reap the benefits from it, okay? And this channeler says, well, that's not how I do it. I don't have to do any of that. All I do is tell the spirits that I see, because I can see them. I tell them, thank you for giving me this, or I want this, or whatever, and then they make it happen, kind of thing. I'm not saying that's real or not, but I'm just saying as a hypothetical. And there are things like that. There are people that do things like that, use fairies, they use the spirits around them, their spirit guides, you know what I mean? They protect them, all that stuff. And you can make the argument once again there, and this is just me and I don't think either one of those are wrong. They're both right. They're both right. But what I would say was, okay, well, if that channeler is the only one that sees those spirits, okay, and those spirits, when she asks them to do something and she offers something to them, gives them some kind of payment, then they work on whatever she wants, and then it happens in her life. Well, to me, no one else sees the spirits. She sees them, okay? And there might be other people that can see them, and they may not necessarily use them, but maybe they can see them, and maybe they could use them as well. But let's just say, that person sees those spirits and she uses them. And the atheist, he uses his subconscious mind, puts in a program or a belief system, and then through that belief system and program, he inserts the things that he wants, and because it's in line with the belief system, then it works out. If he says, he puts in the program that he's a successful, or a belief system that, he's a successful businessman, and he's gonna make lots of money and have a house, and everything's gonna start happening. This is all gonna happen within the next 2 years, let's say. That's the program he runs. So then he starts, that's his belief system. So things start working for him. He starts inserting things. Okay, business license. I want the money for the business license. Okay, I need to find a place for an office. Okay, whatever. He keeps supporting that, and this all works for him. And the channeler, all she has to do is, well, okay, I need a shop so I can do psychic readings for people, and then maybe I'll sell stuff out of the shop, and I need a new car because my car sucks, and so she tells her spirits, and they go and do that. Those things are the same fucking thing. And you can say, well, Corey, how is that? Okay, well, the one is using his subconscious mind. He found his belief systems, he got rid of them, and he put in a new belief system that money isn't bad anymore, money is good, and that he's now going to be a successful businessman. He's going to use the premise of the Matrix, okay? Everything is a computer program. There's no spirit, computer program, okay? So all he has to do is put in the program he wants to run. So he's putting the program, instead of like, I know jujitsu, like Keanu Reeves says or whatever, and then they do the jumping on building things. He puts in a program and he wants to be a successful businessman. So, he had to get rid of his old programming that money was the root of evil, and he inputs the new program that money is a good thing, and then he's going to be a wealthy man, respectable, and give money around to people when he can and help people and, eventually family and all that. And then that's going to do a world of bunch of shit for him, running that program, reaffirming that all the time in his head over and over again, doing sigils for that. And then anything he does that's in line with that through whatever, whether it's a sigil, a spell, whatever, affirmations, recording at night, just writing a story, then it's going to be in line with that. So it's going to make sense. But if he was to do something that wasn't in line with that, I don't know what would not be in line with that, but basically something that doesn't work with the premise of him being a businessman. Okay, let's say he wanted to have a big corporation, but he doesn't even have an office space yet or even a business yet. You know what I mean? Going over and above his belief system, not going to work, right? Be like having a Christian belief system and you're trying to do stuff that is Hindu or Buddhist or Jewish might work, or trying to do witchcraft. There's going to be a clash in the programs. But that's how he communicates to his subconscious mind. He's directly putting stuff into it. The means he uses is either ritual magic or sigils or, law of attraction, writing things down. That's the way he communicates to his subconscious mind. Obviously, the meditation practice would be important for that too. And the channeler or the psychic medium would just tell the spirits that are around her. Well, those spirits around her, and, it doesn't matter whether we're always surrounded by spirits all the time, all of us, or there's actually nothing here, and she's just seeing those. Those are an extension of her. They are a part of her subconscious mind. That's her link. That's her communication. It's the same thing because they're coming through her subconscious mind. She would be, to me, this is just how I would understand it, she would only see them because her subconscious mind, her third eye, those things are open. She has that line of communication all the time. Whereas most people don't. But some people have a bigger one, some people have a smaller one, some people have barely any. You know what I mean? You can see that when you meet people. So this person has it open so much that she either developed this as a young kid, has these people. They could be essentially a type of like thought form / egregore that is able to tap into other people's subconscious minds faster. It's just the way she developed it. There's no rules to this shit. The only rules are the 7 hermetic principles. But if as a child, anybody who has a active third eye and an open subconscious mind, if as a child they developed and made thought forms or whatever that stay with them their whole life, and I'm not going to call them familiars or anything like that because there's debate within different factions on, what a familiar really is and all that, and I haven't studied or have any to know to really say that, but everybody can create a thought form. Even the atheist can create a thought form, and that's essentially an etheric being, a spiritual being that you create by channeling energy from the cosmos, from your middle pillar, or microcosmic orbit, and you put that into them, and then you create their software. You make their programming. You say this is your job is in all this, and then if you don't either retire that dude, give him a break, change his programming, re-look at his self-limiting beliefs, re-look at his programming. If you just leave him out there to do whatever he wants, he will evolve. He'll either shed his programming or add on new programming, get bigger and eventually change. That's how these things work. And this is a rule from the Kabbalion. It's all is in the mind of God. We're all in the mind of God. Technically, our Creator made us like that. Gave us programming, gave us rules to live within, and from there we can do whatever else we want. Now, unfortunately, in our society, other people that are just as important, just as human as us, just as, whatever, however you want to word that, but they're the same as you and I, have decided to impose even more rules on us and say, no, only people in government can do this, only the highest people in religious orders can do this, only the people with money can do this, and all you other fuckers, you have to do this. And anybody who doesn't do that can either go to jail or stay the fuck out of our way, and, whatever. Basically, they made more rules. But you can transcend those rules by using the Hermetic principles, whatever way you want. And you can make egregores. Now, you may not be able to see them right away, but if you want to see egregores, then do a sigil to fucking open up your third eye. Do a sigil to get a better line of communication. That's what I did. That was one of the things I did earlier on. I had a bunch of affirmations made, and then I recorded them, and then I made fucking things to lay down to sleep that are slightly different than affirmation. They're more of a hypnosis kind of script, but same concept. And I would listen to it every night, and then I actually try to fucking do things, and it started coming to me easier. But anyways, point is, the person seeing the spirits, or the person just not believing in spirits, believing it was all computer programming, he's just putting programs into his mind and they're being executed. It's the same thing. They're communicating through the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind, our mind, is the what is that denominator? The common denominator, basically. Okay, because God and spirit can be there or they can't be there, and our subconscious mind, our mind. Now, I say subconscious mind, but you can call it whatever you want. You can call it male mind, female mind, and it doesn't matter. Because to me, that's another whatever. All these different spiritualities, whether it's witchcraft, ceremonial magic, whether, you believe the spirits carrying out the actions, whether you believe it's just all about thoughts, whether you believe it's actually science, whether you believe it's, whatever the case is, these are just different ways of looking at the same fucking thing. And depending on your makeup, your polarity, all this crap, you're going to perceive it a different way, judging by what you went through in life. If you were a kid that watched, a lot of scary movies or had witch family people or a lot of weird things happen, lived in a haunted house or whatever, you're more likely going to believe in spirits. But if you're somebody who never witnessed any of that, was very cold, hard, science, you never seen any reason to believe in God, you might be an atheist that believes in Scientology or just in science, everything is just made up of all these things, we are what we are. And yeah, okay, maybe obviously something started this at some point, but to know what that was is very hard, and it probably can be explained in a scientific way. And, it's just a way of looking at the same concept differently. So way back when I made that Tap in the Goddess video or episode, it was just about the fact that I think, because I said it was hard to pick a deity because there's so many fucking deities. Like, how do you know which one to pick? There's cool attributes of all these different ones, but, you don't want to work with too many at once. So you have to have different altars and all this. It's like, And then I came to the conclusion, and it's just how I rationalized it. And someone might think this is whack and doesn't make sense to them, but I rationalized it that different people perceive different gods, that they wanted to do different things. Like if you wanted, if you wanted things that like if you wanted to be a good soldier, a warrior and all that, you're going to like Mars more than anybody else. But if you're an old man who's kind of, doesn't have much patience anymore and, waiting for just time, and you don't like people wasting your time, and, you might like Saturn more. And this is Saturn. I'm just saying a lot of people think that about Saturn. But if you're a woman who likes beautiful things, or even a guy like me, who liked working out and used to take really good care of his looks and stuff like that, then, Venus might be the one to pray to, right? And then there's everything in between, and then even more created than angels. And then, so the point was, whatever you wanted, if you wanted to get certain knowledge, if you wanted to see somebody, or if you wanted to have something done, okay, instead of just asking something that you don't know was there, right? They would create, and who knows, maybe at one point all these things were thought forms, egregores, or even people that ancestors got preyed on and they eventually got lifted up, or who knows? No one can explain that, right? Unless, those texts are either below the Vatican or burnt in like one of those fires, like the Alexandrian fires. No one knows. But the point is, people would put attributes on their god, whoever they were worshiping. Many gods, 7 seems to come up a lot, right? There's the 7 main planets, but then there's the other ones as well. The point is, it doesn't matter how you do it, but this is just what you have to do. And this is also the thing that fucks people over. Because not only the people don't really, even if they say they believe in God, they don't do anything to show that God any gratitude anymore. So they're living a life where they're not thankful to any outside force or internal force for that matter, always just chasing impulsive desires. and never, asking, wanting help. And whenever things get bad, they just either accept it or they break down because they didn't think it would happen to them. And then everything is just shit after that. And it's just sad how we're all living. And I think spirituality, and that's why it's right on one of my opening things I wrote. It's my brand of spirituality, but I believe spirituality is not something that should ever have been organized, something that we should have ever gotten together in mobs or in groups and done things. Yes, 13 members in a one coven to do a common good. That's fine. That's beautiful. People doing magic together, putting their magic together for a common good. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to yourself, when you're trying to figure out life and figure out what you want to be and all that, you're not going to go in a coven. I mean, you could go in a coven, ask people's opinions, and that might help, And then if you want it to happen fast, getting those other 12 people to help you achieve those ends, then fuck yeah. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, like the way Judaism and Christianity and Islam and all the other really big ones that, people gather together and one person talks to everybody and everybody's supposed to feel involved, but there's all these little, it's just, nobody's really worrying about no one's even doing anything about their spirituality. But I believe spirituality is not something that should ever have been organized, something that we should have ever gotten together in mobs or in groups and done things. Yes, 13 members in a one coven to do a common good. That's fine. That's beautiful. People doing magic together, putting their magic together for a common good. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to yourself, when you're trying to figure out life and figure out what you want to be and all that, you're not going to go in a coven. I mean, you could go in a coven, ask people's opinions, and that might help, And then if you want it to happen fast, getting those other 12 people to help you achieve those ends, then fuck yeah. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, like the way Judaism and Christianity and Islam and all the other really big ones that, people gather together and one person talks to everybody and everybody's supposed to feel involved, but there's all these little, it's just, nobody's really worrying about no one's even doing anything about their spirituality. They're going there because they learned a long time ago from their parents that they should keep the Sunday holy, or, that you have to, give time to God or whatever, 10% time, money, whatever the case is. And that is important things. But to only go there once a day or once a week is better than none at all, though, mind you. But to only do that and you're not really trying to figure anything out and you think you have all the answers and you're putting your nose down on other people and you're not going there for a common good, a coven getting together and doing magic to do something good in the world or to change something or to make something or whatever the case is different than a bunch of Christians going to a church and listening to the priests tell the same old stories they all already know, and they're all just there for either to look good, for like status, to flaunt over other people, to just this way, okay, well, God won't do anything bad to me because I go there every Sunday. So if there is a God, I have that part covered. It's that whole fear of God thing. And, I never liked the thing fearing a God or fearing the consequences. So you do things the right way. I never liked that. And, I think the fear of God there's a different perspective you can take on that is actually beneficial to you, but to just go to that church because, you think it's the right thing to do or because you were taught that or whatever, then, that's not spirituality anymore. You're not figuring out your life. You're not getting closer to your creator, to whoever made you, maybe that's part of the game is that we were created from something, maybe we have to figure out that we're all one or that we're supposed to be helping each other, not, trying to look better than the other guy. And maybe we're trying to through that, we find our creator. I ultimately think those two things are the same. Us helping each other, realizing we're all one, and finding our creator, I think are exactly the same thing. They're both tied into each other. And even if it is something separate, the day we find out we're all one, then our creator is going to lift the veil and be like, finally, I was wondering if you guys were ever going to get it. It'd be something like that. And then, he would just connect to us or whatever. But point is, just because we're separate doesn't mean we're not together. We are all together. There's this line connecting all of us. And, we have the term subconscious mind or unconscious mind, and you don't have to use that term if you don't want to. I use it for, it's one of the things I learned because I listen to Frater so much, and that's what he uses. But the point is, that's what connects all of us. All right. And, Peterson talks about if you don't try, you give up, you're nihilistic, whatever, you don't have responsibility, you're just a waste of society, how you have a profound effect on other people. Everybody affects everything, and all your actions actually do something, actually have meaning. And that's a better way to live because it's a little more fearful. And I think that's the way to looking at that fearing God thing. That, the right kind of fear of God is the fact that, we've ignored him. If you're the type of person who's not trying to understand him, trying not to figure out life, trying not to, if you're just trying to be selfish, all about yourself, and you don't care about whether you have a creator, you don't care about your other friends, you don't even care about the people you don't know that are suffering or stuff like that, then you should fear God because, he can do stuff to you. He can send you some harsh lessons. Getting on the initiation train yourself is better than you ignoring your responsibility and all these other things, and then God sending you your own initiation, your own little test, your own little private fucking, here's your own little private test, bud. Since you're not wanting to do this yourself, you're not wanting to learn, you're not wanting to proceed on to the next level, you're not willing to advance or ascend, you're just going to keep being narrow-minded and you're not trying to try, and there's something wrong, but you think it's easier to just not do anything. So, well, here you go. Now you're forced to do something. And I think that's the right way to fear God. I think that's exactly the right way to fear God. I think that would be the only way that will do you any fucking good. Because if you know that if you don't try to make yourself a better person, if you don't try to lift up your family, if you're just going to go to work every day and complain and let other people complain, bring other people down and not try to understand anything, then there's a good chance that, all right, well, someone else is waiting in line for your soul, and I'm pretty sure this person could do a better job than you. So, here's your cancer, and if you can come above it, fix it, get over it, then all right. Well, then, you get to keep that body and transcend it and move up. But if not, then, just get in a box and then restart the process, get in the line, because this person shouldn't wait because you're too ignorant and scared to do anything about it. And I think that's the right way to fear God. And I think that plays into all the shit I've already talked about, basically. And that's why, like yesterday when I was talking about anybody who's being bullied, if they are being bullied, to be thankful for it, even though that's going to be damn hard to do. And I know that, and I try not to be insensitive and sound like a jerk saying that because, like I said, I used to be a bully and I know how it is, right? But think about it as, you're getting your cup of suffering now, at least some of it, because we're all going to get suffering. We're going to get different. You're not just going to be bullied in high school and then you're done for the rest of your life. You're going to get more crap too. And, it's one of those things, if you can have a type of control over it. You don't have the final say, but you can have a control. And I do believe this. I do believe that by either being depolarized or by your actions, by cause and effect, by polarity, by cause and effect, by doing things you think are good, and then when you do things are bad, by trying to fix them instead of just pretend they're not you and lying about it and shit like that. I think that's the reason that we have karma, is for that. It's for the fact that, if we didn't have something there that, punishes people or gives people opportunities to, one last chance to not keep making the same mistake. And, since you didn't get all the small little hints we shot at you to change, then, here's a really big fucking one that's a doozy, and it's a make or break you, basically, but you're doing the same thing with the small ones. So, The only other way they can go is just bigger in the same direction, right? They're not going to start giving you good shit whenever you weren't grateful for any of the little good shit you got. You just complained about everything and made everything worse. So why would they give somebody like that what they want? Because they're just going to get what they want, and they're just going to keep doing what they do because they're not grateful for little things. Why would they be grateful for big things? And big things won't ever be enough. That's one way to look at it. But that's how you can control what you have, right? Because, you never know who's going to get cancer. You never know who's going to get this. You never know who's going to get that. But I think there's a spiritual element in there. I think there's something to it. I think that we get things that are going to be beneficial to our path. Things are going to happen to us. And depending on what you do and how you do it, then, because you can say, well, why do good things happen? Why do bad things happen to good people? I'm like, well, you're shooting movie quotes at me. Well, no, I know so and so, and they worked and did this and that and that. But you can't ever really know a person. You don't know what happened and what that person did or didn't do, and that might not even be the case. That person might need this to break free from something. Like, we don't have the full picture. We have no way of knowing how this is chosen, and you don't know what they're headed for. And they could be making some life decisions right now that are bringing them to a really bad place. And if it wasn't for the shitty hand they just got dealt that changed the way, you know what I mean, then they would have been even worse off. Like, we don't know. But I think by using the Kabbalah again, by doing magic, by trying to transcend, because you can't just, I'm a little bit all over the place again, because I really want to get out what I'm trying to say, but I'm having a hell of a time trying to say it. But it doesn't matter whether you believe in God, spirit, or just a subconscious mind, but there is some kind of force out there that is causal and effect, that is a rhythm that goes back and forth from the good or the bad that we perceive in our life, okay? And this is based on your belief systems once again. But point is, all these, the law of gender, the law of rhythm, there's no opposites, correspondences, all these things, okay, defines not only our life, not only our rules within magic, not only our realm of what we can and can't do, but it defines, if these are the rules that we have, then it also tells us a bit about who and what created us, our creator, because we are in their mind and they can do things on a much bigger scale than us, but we were done through these principles. We are made up from positive and negative. We have a rhythm, we wake up, we sleep, we wake up, we sleep, that's a pendulum swing all on its own, within our body we have rhythms. Our body has a system and it's all circular. It's also, all the cells are always living and dying. Everything is always reproducing itself naturally, all on its own through the subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is doing all the most important bodily functions in your body. And if you get sick, you can look at it as, like I was just trying to punt the notion that, you're not being very grateful, or you're taking advantage of people, or you're choosing not to try in life and just, what the fuck's the point? Or, there's a problem and you're ignoring it or whatever, instead of, saying, okay, fuck it, I'm going to see what this is about. Give me some life lessons or whatever the case is. And then this way the life lessons get shot at you instead of you choosing. And because you don't get to choose to not have any life lessons. Everybody has to have the life lessons. But what you can do is pick when they happen to you. What you can do is not make them as bad when you get them, and actually do it right, learn the lesson when you have them, and not make things worse. You do have a choice in that. You get to pick within, you get to pick the limitation that you're going to get these life lessons within. You get to pick what you want to do, because if the 7 heretic principles are how we get to do magic, then there's really nothing we can't do. So you can, no one knows this stuff. So, I'm talking to people that already know this, but the point is that you can do whatever you want to do. but you have to figure out what you want to do. And that's the thing, when people realize that, there's endless opportunity, endless potential, that what you can do, you just have to do it within these rules. Magic's going to happen like this, you're going to get it like this, and you have to do it like this. You have to take into account all these different things. You have to use polarity to get what you want, whether that's the moon polarity, whether that's your own polarity, whether that's the feeling you have to use when you're thinking about it, whether it's banishing and rejecting the different thoughts. So they don't stop your manifestation happening, because if you're asking for money, but you keep getting the thought that you're never going to get the money, you know what I mean? You don't banish that bitch away, then you're going to stop yourself from getting the money. So that's all works into the thing of polarity, right? And then you got the pendulum, the rhythm, back and forth through that pendulum, the good and bad, the tides, which are important to, your manifestation, right? Because at different times you're going to need different fucking things. So you might not need what you want right now, or you might not get what you want right now, or you might be on a negative fucking swing and using the wrong polarity, and that might be a sign to tell you something or whatever, or it means you have to be more in balance. Cause and effect, right? That plays into it too, because you are doing something to have an effect on something, right? You're creating the cause, but before that you were just at the cause. You were just at the effect, you're just going on and things were just happening to you. Everything was just happening to you. But now you're trying to change it. You're taking it by their fucking reins and then doing these things, which are the causes, to have specific effects, is what you're trying to do anyways. And by doing that, you're going to change your rhythm, and you're going to hopefully maintain a decent, depolarization state. But then the law of gender, everything has to be done within male and female. So if you're trying to do something, if you're trying to make a manifestation come into reality, and you don't have both male and female aspects of that, then it's not going to work. Well, what does that mean? Well, Frater, Xavier, and Birch, they taught me, and the book also teaches you this, that it has a lot to do with your minds. Your subconscious mind is the negative, and your conscious mind is the positive. You need both those babies working to get your manifestation. It can't be done with just your conscious mind, because your conscious mind can think of all the shit it wants all day long, and think of what it wants and needs all day long, but nothing's going to happen. Can it happen with just your subconscious mind? I'm inclined to say yes, but at the same time, no. Because you can say, well, I didn't use my conscious mind to make all this shitty circumstances happening. I've been programmed, and this is what you're saying. I have these self-limiting beliefs, and everything I watched since I was a kid was inserted into me, and now that's playing out. So now I have to use my conscious mind to do that. But that doesn't make sense, because my subconscious mind is doing all this shit just on its own, and without the conscious mind doing anything to it. So the law of gender doesn't work. And I'd say, no, you're wrong. I'm like, technically it is doing it all without your conscious mind, but it's cheating on you, or it's getting raped, whichever one you want to look at it. And I know it's not nice to say, but the TV, that's a conscious projection. It's something in the 3D realm. It's not something coming from your subconscious mind. It's a positive nature. And if you have trouble with that, well, what have I been saying? There's a bunch of positive ions being bombarded at you from your TV screen, your computer screen, and so if there's positive ions coming from there, and there's negative ions coming from the earth, which is what, we're made up of both, but we're made up from the earth. Our subconscious mind is negative, right? It's water, even earlier you said, whenever I was just saying that, it said, I got these things were inserted in me as a kid. Well, there's a clue too. You can't insert something unless you have something positive pushing it in, the negative thing, right? Male and female, fucking the pussy, putting the dick in the cunt, whatever you want to look at it, putting your finger through the circle. Mars and Venus going at it, or, whoever. But point is that just because you're not controlling reality doesn't mean there's not other positive, and I don't mean that in a good way, but I mean male forces fucking your mind up, making your mind do shit it doesn't want to do. There's totally that going on. It's definitely happening, 100%. That's the whole programming. That's what this whole thing has been about. My last episode about too, but it's such an important topic because, people don't understand how they can't break habits or can't stop doing things. And it's just as relevant to doing magic as it is to people with addictions, to people who don't do magic, to everything. Because, like I said, if you don't look at your self-limiting beliefs every so often and try to shed the ones you don't want and put in the new ones and try things out, trial and error, because it doesn't matter if you make a mistake. That's something you got to get rid of right now. It's better to make mistakes and find the right way and get the little lesson than it is to be scared of making a mistake and keep making a different mistake. You know what I mean? Or doing something that doesn't serve you. And it's tying in pretty nicely. Thank you, Mercury. But it's kind of what I meant by how you get to pick what the fear of God things, your lessons, basically. So I don't think if you're going through things and you're trying actively to do things, right things, and you're trying to figure things out, and you make a mistake here and there, but you're making mistakes, and then you're finding your way and all that. That's same thing as getting a big mistake. It doesn't matter whether it's big or small. If it's on that negative polarity, as is, according to your polarity scheme, to your good and bad scale. Sorry, I just got to take some for my leg. It's sore. If you perceive, those, okay, well, that sucks, but that's how we learn, right? So either way, it doesn't matter whether, it's good or bad. If you are actively putting yourself in shitty positions to reach enlightenment, to reach, the awakened status, to be a guru, whatever the case is, just to fix your life, to figure this mystery out. I mean, I think that's something worthwhile, trying to figure out, the life. We have to live life as we figure out life. So that kind of sucks. But that's necessary as well. Because if you think you're just going to sit at home and not do anything and figure this shit out, well, I'm telling you right now, it ain't going to fucking happen. I've tried for 3 years. Tried to figure out what I'm going to do, my passion, my purpose, tried to figure out spiritual shit and all that. And you can say, well, no, you seem like you know enough there. You did pretty good. But no, I got more questions than I got answers. I might be able to say this stuff in a way that's kind of able to be comprehended with my stupid all over the place speech. But no, you're not going to be able to figure it just sitting at home, because nothing's going to happen to you. There's no cause and effect. That's how we learn. That's the important part. And good and bad, just like I said earlier, I don't think the subconscious mind knows good and bad, just like it doesn't know the difference between real and fake, right? To the subconscious mind, it's all the same. It just is. It is or it isn't might be the only distinction, right? And to me, it wouldn't really know isn't either, right? It's just the stuff that it perceives, right? It's just, everything just is. Because if it isn't, then it would be dead or whatever. But, so it just is or it isn't with the subconscious mind. It's not, it doesn't. So, like I said, the good or bad thing would just be, how did I put that earlier? It would just be like archetypes. Your subconscious mind doesn't want you to be this, but it's not necessarily, I don't think it would be necessarily that it understands that archetype is, not a desirable archetype, as much as it might be more the subconscious mind. Because technically, if you're doing something consciously, if you're acting out an archetype consciously, you know what I mean, that your subconscious mind doesn't agree with. You know what I mean? It's going to either try to get you out of it, or it's going to set up a system. And like I said, it might not even be about good or bad. That could have because if you are playing a role that you watch on TV, like people steal, they go to jail. People kill, they go to jail. People hit people, they go to jail. People sell drugs, they go to jail. People are in gangs, they go to jail. People, if you've watched stuff like that over and over again, right? Well, your subconscious mind watch that shit with you over and over and over again. Therefore, it doesn't know the difference between real and fake. So you programmed in your mind that when this cause happens, this is the effect. Okay? So basically, if you're going to act out that role and do those things that you've watched over and over and over again happen, then you're going to have the same effect that you programmed in your mind, unless you unprogram that, unless you actively remove that. But whatever's in there is going to be played out. And that's kind of the whole point of this whole thing. And whatever you've seen as a kid, it's going to play out. You know, they say you can say affirmations and get an idea into your head, but that's just because, you know, after you're doing the affirmation so much, you're gonna, you know, it's just, you create, those words create an image basically by doing that. Almost you associate an image with that, because, you know, whenever you write something, when you write it down, whether it's something you think of or something you're reading, there's pictures that happen in your head, even if you consciously are aware of them or not. It's just something that kind of happens. And, you know, people either think either in words or in pictures, but technically those words are still pictures because they're seeing the words in their head. They're just using letters instead of the picture of whatever the letters represent. You know what I mean? But it's the same concept. So point is, every time you write something down, you're going to get a picture in your head. So that's why that method can work. But it's a lot harder than just straight up putting the picture in your head, putting emotion into that, you know what I mean? And then consciously going to your altar and doing the shit and being thankful for whatever you want, you know what I mean? And putting yourself into the trance and all that. Like I said, do you have to have an altar? No. Do you have to make a circle? No, you don't even have to do that, which I don't suggest, but you don't have to do none of that shit. You can literally sit down in your kitchen and fucking say out loud what you want to happen once you're in the trance, and then you come out of the fucking trance and you try to fucking forget about it. And as long as you make sure you're using all the other, you know, hermetic principles, then you're golden. That's all you need. That's it. Simple, right? But there are things to take into account, and I can't tell you whether, you know, using a circle is safe or unsafe, or is actually going to do you harm or not, or if, you know, demons are pacing the circle and they could fuck you up if you come out of that circle without closing. I can't tell you for sure or not. I can tell you things that happened to me when I didn't do it, and are those because I read that these things could happen and I put the idea in my subconscious, just like I told you, and then I acted it out? Who knows? And that's back to the beginning theme of this whole thing, which was YouTube and checking your self-limiting beliefs, okay? If you are in New Age and going through an initiation, you know, just do yourself a favor and every so often go over what you believe, what you look at. This is why writing things down is so important, because, you know, by reading what you write, you might even see the contradictions or where you start changing your ideas around, or, you know, and if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, well, understand you're going to create a self-limiting belief. So only do that with stuff you like. You know, it's good to look at new stuff and stuff that challenge your thoughts, but it's not good to take on other people's opinions with the information that you're seeking. You know, you're looking for information, this guy's got it, and he gives a good presentation, and he's done good work, but he's also spinning his twist on it, you know, what he perceives is happening and all that. And that's going to slip in there with everything else. You know, consciously you can separate the two, but your subconscious might eat it up and think those two go together and then start playing that out. And depending on what you're taking in, you may not want that to happen. So, anyways, now, I guess I want to just come back to what I was trying to get at with the God thing, I guess, perceiving if God is real or not based on, you know, the people that beat cancer, the people that don't beat cancer, people that pray in different ways and get different responses and all that. And, you know, and I would just say, the only thing I can say, because I can't tell you if God is real or isn't real, because God to me is still something that should be respected, whether I believe in the Christian God or not. But because I still use that word sometimes out of habit, because, you know, when I was a Christian, I referred to the creator of all as God. And now creator of all, the all, has a whole new meaning in my mind. And it's way above God of the Bible. However, those two could be the same, and that could be a skewed story and all that. So I don't dismiss that word whatsoever. And, you know, talking to your creator and, you know, thanking and showing gratitude is never a bad thing. But our creator gave us the ability to fix our own shit, fix our own problems. Technically, and it's through our minds is how we fix our own problems. It's through your subconscious mind you can fix your own problem. But first thing you have to do is learn, understand, know, and protect your subconscious mind from further manifestations happening. You know, thinking of the TV as a positive man polarity, basically, and your subconscious mind when you're on the couch in a trance watching that TV as the negative, and the images, with those positive ions that are coming off, and that's probably one of the reasons they have positive ions coming off from whatever. But thinking of that, should do something for you. That's how your subconscious mind works, is kind of what I just said, right? Your subconscious mind works with images. Now you can use words, and people even think in words, like I said, but technically those words are pictures, still the same, just the same. And, if you do affirmations enough, those sentences or whatever you're saying, the affirmations, make a picture in your head. Your dreams happen in pictures. You know what I mean? Visualizing is a huge part of magic, law of attraction, all that stuff. Whenever, closing your eyes, anyways, point is, that's how you communicate to your mind, is through visualization. That's the language of the subconscious mind. Okay? It's not the means of communication, but that would be the language. That's how it speaks to you. Even in your reality, things that happen to you are like images, right? It's like a bird hitting your window, all right? You know what I mean? It's like, well, no, that's a live thing hitting your house and all that. I know, but you see it through your eyes, and therefore it just looks the same as if you took a camera picture of it, and it would be a picture, and you could draw that, and it would be a portrait. You know what I mean? Point is, everything is not words that are going on. Your TV on that TV stand isn't a word that says TV, and then it's on top of something that says TV stand. You see it for what it is. And then when you go to talk about that item there, you say the TV. And that was something that was created, and I'll get into that in a different episode. I think I've already done a few on that. But point is, in your life and in your dreams and all these other places, your subconscious mind's language is visualization. So anything that shoots visualizations at you on purpose. This is advertising. That's why there's ads everywhere. They say word of mouth is faster than is actually the best type of advertising, the most effective too. And I believe that because there's people that trust, that tell you that something works good, and and for status and this and that and the other thing. But there's a reason that there's so much money for ad banners on YouTube, on Facebook, and all that, on your videos. Why ads are everywhere? Why everything is digitalized? That's what I mean. It's crazy, but it's because that's how you talk to the subconscious mind. And if you want to control potentially what's happening, or you want yourself to be rich, or you want specific things to happen, right? Well, everybody has the same power. You know this. You have good power. It takes time to keep developing it. But you want a boost. You want everybody to do something for you. You want everybody to work towards your ends. Well, you do what I did in my house by putting up my sigil and having everybody's subconscious mind see it. Technically, I'm projecting my conscious my spell, my whatever I want, and it's going into their subconscious minds when they look at it. And that is creating a magical little baby. And it's going to bloom. Whether they know it or not, it's just going to play out. Because they don't know what that means, but I do. You know what I mean? I know that sigil means I'm going to get this much on this day or whatever, or I'm going to become great something, or whatever the case is, okay? But that's using that. And we have, there's a few good books about the alphabet and how the letters were structured and how that was done on purpose. Because if let's say everything you see that's like a picture or a logo or whatever, okay, everything you see has a secret meaning. There's 26 letters in the alphabet, right? And all these 26 letters make up a bunch of words from 1, 2 letters till what's the biggest word in the world? You know what I mean? And so all those, let's say every one of those is a sigil for something, right? Let's say every one of those has a specific meaning behind it, and it's communicating to your subconscious mind and manifesting somehow in your reality whatever it is supposed to happen. Just think about that for a second, and you could start to see how fucked up that would be. But it doesn't make it any less possible, and it doesn't make what I'm saying any less true. Okay, but the TV stands out, gets you in a trance with the lights and stuff like that. There's a reason why flashing lights can cause seizures and shit like that. It's too much positive ions. it's bombarding your body, but it's taking over, and it's hard not to look at. What happens at Christmas time when you drive around with a baby, the Christmas parade, all the lights lighting up. We put lights in our house, we decorate things like that, right? Because it stands out, because it catches your eye, makes you look at it. It makes it more, intense in your head. There's a reason for everything. But anyway, so I wanted to talk about the birth chart and the descendant and all that, but I don't know if I'm going to have time for that because I got to get my lunch ready still and go. And I'm not really looking forward to today, but I better go have a coffee anyways. But I wanted to hit on that, but I really wanted to reaffirm how important it is for people to reorganize, go through their self-limiting beliefs or their belief systems or their programming and continue to reprogram themselves and remove the programs they're no longer using potentially. Because like I said, because you can make an egregore or a thought form, a servitor, whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean? And people that see spirits, are those someone else's servitors already made? Is it their own that they made as a kid? Is it thought forms they saw? Or is that something that was put in a book and a lot of people believe in it? So that is a program now it's a belief. And if enough people share that belief, then they make it a reality because all their minds are making those little magical babies and making that thought now something that's anchored in our reality, right? So therefore, okay, some people can and some people can't, and everything in between. That means anything you've ever thought of that, someone said crazy or isn't true or isn't real or not possible could technically be possible. But it has to be done within the rules. And the more people that like what you are doing or like your idea or believe in what you're saying, then the more potent whatever you're doing and more likely it will to work. Okay, so that's why we have the magical systems and the religions and all that. People think it's to keep us in this perpetuating system and all that, and that's definitely a part of it, and it's definitely, I think it's been used to do certain things that, we probably couldn't have done without a system like, Christianity in place and all that, and the law and all that. However, I think it's just something that, worked way back when as well, you know what I mean? Like, not to mention, like, Birch talks about how Christianity incorporates all these saints, and all these saints were deities of different types of witchcraft and shit back in the day. So, their religion had their own premises, they had their own believers and stuff that, worked for a certain amount of people, and then they added people to it, but those people came along with their beliefs. So then now they're trading, right? Okay, well, this is what my deity can do. Okay, this is what my deity can do, So now they both believe in each other's deities. So there's a bunch of people who believed in the one group of deities, and a bunch of people believed in the other group of deities, and now there's two groups believing in these two groups of deities. So they all become real. You know what I mean? And then it just keeps happening. More and more people get on board. And, and then just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then things started happening where, people started doing things that were questionable that made people decide to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I'm not sticking up for Christianity because I don't believe in the things they've done and all that. And, I'm not saying that the things they did, I just don't want people to think I stick up for it a lot. And maybe it's because I was programmed as a kid, and I have to continually keep making sure my programming is not in there for that. But I do try to look at it with open eyes and be, I guess, not pessimistic and think maybe there's something that was good there at one time. But, people saw the corrupt natures and decided to leave in all that. And then, there's no reason to go around killing people and forcing people into a religion. There's no reason for that. It's like the opposite of what the religion should be. You know what I mean? And I do believe that this is a religion for the masses, like I said many other times, in that, the elites, I would actually use a different religion, such as, not that astrology is a religion, but it's definitely a spirituality, definitely a divination, definitely something that could, bring you knowledge and fortune and, help you look into your life and shit like that. But I guess the point I'm trying to say about the whole Christian thing is, that people made it real when they all started believing in it. But it would be impossible for that amount of people to, whether forced into a religion or believed in the religion itself or whatever, to, if they all believe in it, all start worshiping it and asking for certain things or whatever, it would be impossible for that to not become a reality when that many people believe in something. You know what I mean? It's, you can look at this as, you take a look at fads, trends, what's popular, okay? So if enough people get on board and think something is worth something, whether it's a new social media or a fucking hat or, the newest skateboard or designer shoes or whatever the case is, okay? If the right people promote it, then a bunch of people are going to start liking it. And the more people that like it, they put value basically on that. And then other people are just going to want it because other people want it, not because it actually has any real value. This kind of plays into the whole, the whole advertising thing. I said the word of mouth thing, because if people are telling you that this thing is good and they like it, it's not like you're just seeing something and, you have your own thoughts about that something right on the billboard. You think, oh, that's cool. But then if someone else you hear says, oh, that's fucking stupid, I tried that, it doesn't work. Well, boom, shut down. Not going to happen. That's always going to be in your thought. And then unless you hear two other people that you respect say, no, this is good, well, then you might go back to it. But if all you hear is one good review, well, then you have one of each, and, odds of you using that, very slim. So that's why it's better for people to go around saying, hey, this thing is worth value, especially people that, other people respect or whatever. And that's why that works better. And you're already creating the good, you're two birds with one stone. Not only are you advertising, but you're getting the good press about it. You're getting people talking about it, and that's kind of what you want. It's the same concept for the religions. Once you get enough people believing in something, then there's power in that. People can hone that power, but more than that, things are going to happen for the people believing in those things. And that's probably one of the reasons why it became controlled, would be what I would say, why the priests ends up controlling the church. And, he's only the one that does the praying and is up there and all that. If anything, he should be taking turns or something like that. But the point is, they had to control it at a certain point. You know what I mean? They had to, because people believing in stuff and doing things or whatever, then people are going to start having results and telling people, hey, all you have to do is this, all you have to do is this. Well, you know what I mean? If there's people in power, they don't want all these other people getting results, It's like, no, it's not what you do. And then, if those people say, well, if I'm not allowed to do this, I'm not going to be part of religion anymore. And then they become a witch or a fucking magic practitioner because, they found something that fucking works. And the church said they couldn't do it because, well, it wasn't the people supposed to, quote unquote, the ones controlling it, benefiting. If everybody starts doing it, then there's going to be no need for them. It's something that's placed in scarcity whenever they should be thinking about the good of all people. But anyways, so just like a fad, something popular, people put the value in it. And then once something either new comes out and everybody forgets about that, then it no longer has value, and and then it depreciates in actual value. But but it's the people, and that could be fake too, right? You get a few celebrities to endorse something, and people know this. People know celebrities endorse something, but yet they still buy it, even though that celebrity, is getting paid to do that. We know this, and yet we still go and buy these things because this should be proof of what I'm saying is true, but the celebrity endorses it. The celebrity could probably even go on TV and say, I wouldn't wear those fucking shoes, and there'd be enough people that probably stop wearing the shoes. But at the same time, there's still something about you seeing that celebrity on that commercial doing the things he's doing in there. You look at that celebrity and you think of status, you think of talent, you think of, whatever that person is to you, especially if you like them. There's something else in your head than they are in my head. But point is that when you see them wearing this thing that you like, or maybe you don't like it, but just them promoting something, it's just like, someone coming and telling you about a new service that you trust, and then you're going to go use it because, well, your mother wouldn't tell you that this thing is wrong. She wants you to save money and wants you to have something of value. But you look at that person also like that. You idolize that person. So when that person promotes something, it's putting something into your subconscious mind very subtly, and the more you see that commercial, the more it happens. That's why commercials, they don't even have to say anything everything. They don't even have to be long. It's not about the length of the commercial. It's about how many times that commercial gets played. Because then it's like an affirmation, but it's an affirmation using the law of gender. You know what I mean? It's not just something you're saying with your conscious mind. Saying something to your conscious mind is using just male fucking energy. And it takes a whole lot of male energy to get it into the female energy, you know. But if you take that male energy, like the TV and all that, and you're speaking the same language, then, you know, and then you have somebody on there you idolize, you look up to, that, you know, it also catches your eye, then boom, it's got something deeper inside you. And then you go by the store and you see those and you want to have them. You know, something takes you over, and then it doesn't matter if, you can't pay a bill or whatever, you'll work it out, but you have those shoes and, you know, you're on cloud nine for a little bit, wearing those shoes around and enjoying them and looking at yourself in the mirror, and, you know, it's crazy, but that's it. It's the same concept that I said about somebody who's addicted to drugs and can't get off the drugs. It's because it's something that's been rooted inside of them. Doesn't matter how much they don't want it. Doesn't matter if, you know, it's unless they get it out of that subconscious fucking spot and wherever it is rooted inside of them, unless they remove that habit, then it's not going to go. Now, seeing your one of your stars on TV wearing a pair of shoes, that's going to come and go pretty fast because those commercials don't stay around, right? But someone who keeps using drugs and has been doing it for a long time and keeps doing it, then it's going to keep happening. And technically, shopping would be the belief system put in you, hey, you need to shop. And then these are like, you know, man, I said the atheist puts in the belief system that this is what he wants to be, and then he starts chipping away at the things he wants, right? Okay, well, I need the money I need to get a business license, I need an office, you know, I need this, I need that. Okay, but he had to first have that program in there to just ask for those things with, you know, say you grew up and no one you knew was a businessman and you don't think you can be a successful businessman, and why would you be able to succeed, and what if businesses fail within the first whatever, you know, if all that's in your head as programming against being a successful businessman, then yeah, you're not going to succeed. So if you remove that and you put in, you're grateful that you become a great successful man. You map out exactly fucking how it's going to play out or what you want your programming to entail. You got to look at this as like programming your servitor, same kind of concept. This is all the things you want to happen, and you know, you gotta still do the things you don't want, like binding down the action not wanted without, you know, the do nots and all that, because, you know, it's hard it's hard enough to talk to your subconscious mind in our language. When you add negative fucking, you know, stuff that's made for like talking sarcastic and, you know, don'ts, do nots and all this shit, then you're really fucking it up. It's like it's not there. To you, it means I don't want this. To your subconscious mind, it just sees, okay, it wants this. You know what I mean? It's the opposite. So you want to do that. But this is what your belief system that you're inputting, or your programming, however you want to look at it, is the overarching tone and what's going to keep perpetuating what you want to happen. Okay. All right. But then like the residuals, you know, the habits you're putting in there to make the program run good, or habits that you want that are beneficial to this. You know, I want to be a conscientious worker. I want to have good business relations. I want to be able to, you know, hire good people to work under me. I want to be able to, you know, all these little things that are going to be habits for you that are going to help move forward your goal, which is the program. Okay, that's what you want to do. And that's the same thing as, you know, like I said, the society, we've been programmed to want to shop, to be impulsive and all this, to go after little things that the TV tells you that we like this, then you like it and you go buy it, and that this is a good thing. This is our society, you know. And then there's things like Christmas and all these other things in there that keep perpetuating it and making it go round and round and round, which ultimately keeps you working to pay for your stuff and all that. But, you know, you want to have a family, you want to have a house, you want to have a couple cars, and you want to have a job so you can keep buying stuff and paying your bills at the same time. So that's what's put in your head. And then the things that keep it going are the TV shows that show families and people making it and all their dreams coming true. And then they throw the commercials in between to fucking get you to go shop. And then so you have the little bit of dramas that you see on TV and you think it's all part of the plan over and over and over again. And like I'm telling you, it's just, that's what's happening. So I think I'm going to leave it at that for today. I'll go over this and see what I missed. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the show and have a great fucking day. But anyways, that's going to be enough for today. If some of the beginning didn't make sense because I lost some of my recording when I was trying to edit it and put it on here. But yeah, I gave quite a few helpful tips there from the recordings, the programming, and all that. So remember to, check your limiting beliefs, see if you've brought in new programmings from people you've watched and things you've adopted, because, you're accepting probably new thoughts every day that you don't understand, but as you're accepting those things, you could be accepting programs. And not just that, if you see sigils, symbols that you don't know are sigils or symbols, someone's using your mind against your will, there's something to be said about that, and programming your mind to not do that for you, and maybe help you be aware when there's certain things like that around. Like I got a servitor, a thought form, whatever you want to call it, and a spiritual entity that does that for me, so I don't have to worry about that, basically. And studying servitors and studying thought forms is definitely worth looking into as well, because if you're trying to figure out how to program your mind, well, if you look at the servitor, if you read any books about how to create servitors or thought forms, or egregores, whatever you want to call it, how you program one of these entities, one of these beings, spiritual, whatever it's, whether it's to protect you, whether to bring money to you, whatever the case, whatever you're using this guy for. So in my case, I got some protecting my home, and I have some protecting my mind, because those are the two most important things, right? And so how to program these things are the same way you're going to use to program you. And that's why I said earlier, whenever we look at the 7 prophetic principles, not only does it tell you how we are created, how we can create things, but it tells us how our Creator also created us, because we are within this realm, so we had to use those guidelines to create us, and that in its own should keep you busy for a while thinking about that. But anyways, that is actually it for tonight. I can't go anymore. I'm tired. I gotta go to bed, but I hope you enjoy, and yeah, have a good one.
All right, so I said I was going to end it there, but there was a couple more things I just wanted to maybe finish off and maybe clarify real quick, because I didn't have time to listen to it all together, but I listened to a couple of parts of the recordings that I made. But anyways, on the last part I talked about, I separated the programming, saying the program was, the broader statement of maybe what your purpose entails, and, like having the home and the businessman and all that shit. And then I said doing magic, sigils, different parts of the month, doing different spells, because you're not just going to do one spell and then that's it. You want to do multiple spells. You want to create multiple habits to maintain that programming that you put in. But just because I said that you have to, you put the program in, and then you, do sigils, do spells, candle magic, whatever, to do to put in these habits and different things that you want to happen. You can also put in the programming like that as well, is what I wanted to say. To run a program, to have, an overarching statement of what you want to become, And I'll use Birch as an example, because Birch said when he was a kid, he wanted to be a public speaker, right? So that was the program he ran. Now, after he became a public speaker, that was basically him being able to articulate, feeling comfortable, and it opened up doors for him to be a public speaker on many different occasions, doing many different things, from YouTube, podcasts, to being a teacher, to doing live rituals in front of people, to going into big events like fucking Hex Fest and shit like that. So what I'm saying is, the program he's running is being a public speaker, but and maybe that's not a very good, example, but to me it seems like a great example, because to be a public speaker, to be if you're trying to monetize that, if you're trying to do that for a job, if you want to be a public speaker in your field that you're teaching, you get paid to do, if you're going on stages to do live events and shit like that, is what I mean, okay? Not just to be good at public speaking, because you don't want to be shy in front of crowds, you want to rally people up. Well, that's fine. Plug that in as a habit or whatever, or just spells for you to become that. But I would say the difference I would like to make between those two is depending on the importance of what you want, okay? Because if you want this program to last, all right, for a long time, then you have to start putting it in now, and keep altering it, and keep tweaking it as you go, right? Because you can start off with a broad statement like, I want to be a public speaker. And then as you start becoming a public speaker, let's say you start a podcast, and you're a little clumsy at first. You say, you start doing affirmations. I want to be a public speaker. I want to be a public speaker. Maybe you record it, you listen to it every night. So then as that goes on, okay, then you start getting some popularity through your podcast. You start having a better flow. And then maybe, your YouTube channel picks up, and then, maybe some radio station calls you and wants you to maybe do an interview or something like that. So, that's what would happen. It would be the synchronicity, saying, oh, fuck, it works. I'm just saying this affirmation over and over again, and I'm getting these opportunities. So then you could start doing that same thing. Keep doing those things, because that's making that program work in your head. You're telling your mind this is what you want to be over and over and over again. But then it wouldn't hurt to do a sigil. Put it up in your house saying, I'm a public speaker, or whatever your name is a public speaker that gets paid very well to do live events or something like that. This is what I mean by the tweaking. And then, everybody in your family sees it. So it becomes real in their reality, which would mean their reality affects other people's realities, which will affect other people's realities. So that's a way to get you the more popularity, because the more minds involved, the better. But you see how I'm going. So then once that gets going, okay, so then maybe I become a teacher. I get a teaching position, or I become, whatever the case is. You keep tweaking that, but you don't need to distinguish the program from just spells. But I just don't want people. I don't care what people do, to be honest. I want people to know magic works. I want them to get their spell on and do their shit. But what I'm saying is, if you want to change your life, if you want to do something, if you know what you want to do, or you think you know what you want to do anyways, and you can go for the gusto and go for the big thing right now, or you could find smaller ways to get to that big goal that you're eventually going to get at. You know what I mean? Because say your main goal is to be an occult teacher, or you want to have an occult school, or you want to teach occult knowledge to children. I don't know. Or let's say you have this large goal of being like a fucking Harry Potter school here in our world, in our real world, or whatever the case may be. Then, you can't go for that right now, because, we don't have even a platform that would support that right now, unless you got millions of dollars and you're really willing to do that. Then you can only accept rich kids that parents will be able to support their kids, and, willing to take that risk and all that. So what I'm saying is, first you need to get the knowledge and all that. And I'm not saying that's a worthy ideal or a worthy goal, but what I'm saying is that's not something that would work right now. But if you want that to eventually be something that's possible, that we have schools that teach the mind and magic, like Fraser, like Birch, like all these people are teaching, right? All the knowledge you got to get from books right now, and then we can do away with the school, or this could be equivalent as school, but we charge more money for this school because we're giving kids knowledge that they can actually use, and it would be how to put in programs in their mind, and then we would teach them, well, what's the best way to formulate a program, and find out what you want to do, and then what habits do you need to do to make that program work well, and shit like that. You know what I mean? I don't care if we're giving people ideas right now. If this becomes something, then that'd be fucking sick. But you know what I mean? You can't do that right now. You can't go for that. If you are flat ass broke and with no job, then how are you going to make yourself have an income of $100,000 a year if you don't even have a fucking job right now? This is the kind of thing I'm saying. So first you would need to do a sigil to get a job. And I'm not just saying just to get any job and go work at McDonald's, but if you're going to do magic, do a sigil to get a job that you can endure, that you can enjoy, that the time goes by pretty quick, and that you're not too tired after, and that has room for, improvement. And then from there you keep moving up and moving up and moving up, and then, and that it gets better and better and better as you go along. That's what I would say is kind of what I'm trying to get at. But if you want to run that kind of program, if you want to have a belief system in there, you can't, first of all, you can't have a belief system in anywhere that says magic is not true, magic isn't real. If your subconscious, even though your subconscious will create your reality, if you don't think magic will work, then your subconscious is going to fuck itself up. It's like that'd be like having a virus, basically. Because your subconscious is going to create your reality. It's going to do what it does, no matter what. Nothing's going to stop that. But when you consciously go to try to do magic, and your subconscious will be like, no, 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 no. You put in me a long time ago that this shit isn't real, and you never took that out. And this is what our dreams are for. This is why we keep dream journals. This is why we do dream analysis. Your dreams can tell you a lot of things. You can take simple notes of like, okay, I'm having nightmares. I'm not doing something right, or something's wrong, to more, more profound things from your dreams, such as the symbolism that things happening in there. Like I interpreted one of my dreams on the thing talking about how I had to run away from every store in the mall, but I couldn't get out of the mall, and I was running for my life the entire time. You know what I mean? And so, what did that mean? I didn't really know at the time, but I got a few ideas of what that might actually mean. Point is, your dreams talk to you, and they're trying to tell you something. But you can meditate and also ask questions and try to get answers to see what you should do. But all I wanted to say was I didn't want people to think like, oh, well, I can't do sigil magic to do a program, put a program in my head, or try to run a program. You absolutely can. But the more things you do, the better. And I would say that would be the main difference when trying to put a program in your head and just trying to do a spell. We're just trying to do a spell and accomplish something. Like, there's like when I had $3,000 that was owed to me or owed to my wife, and we wanted it faster. Well, I just shot out a spell. I don't need a fucking program for something like that. If I want to get a property, get a house, if I want to get a special car, if I just need a couple extra bucks for Christmas or something like that, I don't need to make a brand new program for that. But if I want to change careers, if I want to change places, if I want to fucking affect the world, which, I'm not at that level yet. I think that's needed, but I don't think anybody who is not done the self-transformation part should be trying to affect the world on a large scale. It's just idiotic. And, if you can't help yourself, then how can you help the fucking world? But anyways, I just wanted to make that distinction between doing magic to change your program. It's a little more in depth, and I really believe that the recordings, the affirmations, the hypnosis scripts, your own thing there with your own voice, deleting and reprogramming your mind when you sleep is so important. And you could do what Birch says and get, a neuro-linguistic programmer, which, you can type in a sentence, and that would be your affirmation or what you want your new program, and then the tones will reprogram your mind via tone, via sound. Because not just visualization, sound can work too. When you add sound to visualization, that with affirmations, and then you put emotion and dancing and all in there, I mean, you got a good recipe. So writing a fucking song for what you want would be a great way to do it. Artists, doing art would be a great way to do it as well. You can make a big super sigil. But anyway, so I just wanted to reiterate and make sure I made a distinction that your self-belief or your self-limiting beliefs, okay, the self-limiting ones that limit you in the ways you don't want to be limited are bad. However, we do have limitation, and that's what makes life interesting, If you remember the devil's conversation with Napoleon Hill or whatever, he talks about his opposition God. He says opposition. But the Kabbalion says there is no opposites. But if you take the devil and God, and I'm not saying I believe in the devil or God or anything like that, but if there is a devil and there is a God, here's the kicker, okay? And this might be hard to understand, but they are both on the same side. That's right. The devil puts shit in your way. The devil makes you do bad so that you realize it and you figure a way out of that hell and you do good. The devil is there to tempt you so you can overcome him. If there was no one there trying to get you to do bad, then we would all be these little fucking pansy bitches, then Mother Nature would eat us alive. You know what I mean? We wouldn't be able to handle her, We have to have tough people. We have to have weak people. We have to have sensitive people. We have to have strong people. We have to have all kinds of people. We even have to have the evil. We are all in this together. And the bad and the good are the same side. Everything is all together. We can't see it. We don't see the bigger picture. We don't see what everything is leading up to. We don't know the potential of our realities. We don't know what's about to happen in the future. People are trying to get you to think what they're saying is real and give them energy. If anybody is practicing occult, is a practicing occultist, and they're throwing out doomsday predictions or they're putting out videos and wanting you to focus your energy on their ideas, is because they're trying to get that to happen. So if you think and you're watching somebody, you think they're an occultist, and they're throwing doomsday things out there, you just shut that shit off because it's a psychopath trying to destroy the world, trying to get the world to fucking implode on itself. And that's just stupidity. I mean, you think this person's a good person, but yeah, they're doing that. I'm not saying everybody's like that. I don't think the people that don't know occult, that don't know that your mind and your subconscious mind creates reality, those people don't know what they're doing. They are ignorant to the fact that they are making people focus on something that may or may not be true. And the more people focus on it and think it's real, if their subconscious gets a hold of that and then it literally becomes real, then we can have real big fucking problems. That's why I don't focus on this fucking Trump dumb shit. I don't focus on any of this shit because I don't want it in my subconscious mind for it to be fucking real. Because none of that's gonna do me any damn fucking good or my family any damn good. And anybody wants to call me out on that and say, well, what the fuck, blah 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 blah. I have fucking my allegiance and my responsibility lies with my family, not with anybody else. And it's as simple as that. So if you want to program your mind to something you want, well, figure out what you want. Figure out your limiting beliefs. Make sure every so often you go through it and see if you maybe are polarized anywhere, you know. And if you're polarized anywhere, okay, well then you might have some belief systems or new programming in your mind that you may need to remove or tweak or change. And if you want to do a big effective spell, something big you're going for, then you need to look into programming your mind or putting habits in your mind or putting self-limiting beliefs in your mind. And like I said, we put limitations there so we can supersede a limitation or go right to the limits. And then once we get good at that, well then we've won, we succeeded, we got to move on to the next. But the limitations and the self-limiting beliefs aren't a bad thing. If you think of it as the way as, you know, like I said, the Matrix, and you put in a program, then you can do that. You know what I mean? This is how our mind works in a manner of speaking, and you don't have to look very far to see the proof of that. We go to school, we learn things pretty fucking quick. You know what I mean? That's just sitting there fucking taking it in for a mind. That's not even fucking doing stuff. You know what I mean? So, I hope this is helpful to anybody who wants to, you know, maybe do their own hypnosis scripts and shit like that. Like I said, you don't have to do anything elaborate. If you read a couple of books about hypnosis, or even put them on when you go to sleep and let your subconscious mind take that in, it won't be hard at all. You'll know what to do. I swear to God, it's that simple. Anything you play while you're sleeping goes right in there. You might not know right away, especially if you're trying to think about it and see if you know stuff. Then yeah, you're gonna push it further away. But if you just put a book on every night, and then, if you wake up and it's off, turn it back on, go back to sleep, you're going to wake up. There's going to be one day, especially if you start writing. When you start writing, you're going to see all that shit start coming out. But you're going to have all that information in you, and it's not going to be a problem at all. And then you'll be able to start dissecting things, and it's a huge benefit. But it just goes to show how unbelievable our mind is. How unbelievable our fucking subconscious mind, how it works. Because, like I'm telling you, like, for me to know the things I know from putting books on and then going to sleep, like, it's like doing work when you don't even have to do work. This is how you use your subconscious mind to your benefit. And if you play something every night that you want to happen for you, if you're playing it in your voice, you're being super happy, you're being super ecstatic, you're being super, grateful to spirit and shit like that. Like I said before, even if you tape yourself doing a ritual and you play that while you're sleeping, your subconscious mind might start doing rituals while you're dreaming. You know what I mean? It might actually filter down into there, and then you can be doing rituals in your reality and the mundane, and then you can be doing them in your dreams. If you can't take over your dreams, this is a good thing you can do to try to get yourself to do ritual during your dreams. You just record yourself doing an actual ritual, just the audio. Obviously, you can't put visual on because your eyes are closed, right? But your ears are open. It's not even necessarily your ears, but anyways, that's another good tip on to program yourself. If you're doing the ritual, programming yourself, and you're playing that while you sleep, or for anything really, it's a huge thing. And this also helps because what happens is you consciously know you did that. Sometimes if you have that dream, the first time you have that dream where you're doing a ritual, it's not going to be exactly where you picture yourself doing the ritual whenever you're recording it. However, at some point you're going to catch yourself, and it's going to be you reciting and doing your ritual at some point, and you're going to realize, holy fuck, I'm in a dream. And then, if you're like me, you're going to lose a dream. You're going to wake up right then. But the point is, this is how you practice lucid dreaming, and eventually, astral travel and outer body experiences and shit like that. First and most important part is knowing and being aware and being able to not lose the dream, right? But there's certain things like the signs, like the vibrations and the crazy electricity feelings that you get prior to that you can't wake out about either, because, that's why something like this helps, because it's like a trigger, something that tells you, okay, this is in a dream, because, when you